Hello and welcome to Forgotten Xbox 360 Arcade Games, a new mini-series where I review forgotten Xbox Live arcade games, and in today's debut episode, we will be taking a look at the 2007 remake of Atari's Battlezone. Battlezone is a classic arcade game originally released in 1980, and this version of the game was exclusive to the 360, being developed by Stainless Limited and published by Atari. Battlezone is considered by some to be the grandpa of first-person shooters, as it predates Wolfenstein 3D by 12 years, and this reimagining contains both a classic and an evolved mode, and I spent the bulk of my time on the evolved mode, as I found it much easier to shoot and make out exactly what was going on thanks to the greatly enhanced visuals. While you can change the difficulty to your liking, doing things like adding lives or adjusting your reload speed, I'll mainly be discussing this game on the default normal difficulty unless otherwise noted. Alright, I guess I'll give a general rundown of the game for those who aren't familiar. You drive around an arena fighting mostly tanks, but also occasionally kamikaze drones of some sort, with the twist being there will only ever be one enemy in-game at once, and you can use your radar to help locate their exact position. Unlike pretty much any other FPS I've ever played, all enemies are one hit, but you are also, so it's balanced I guess, and for what this game is, I'm impressed by the enemy variety, holding 3 different kinds of tanks, with one launching 2 rockets, instead of 1, making it a bit harder to dodge shots, one being smaller than the other 2, making it harder to shoot, and then there's just a basic tank, which is rather slow moving and it shoots a single round. And the kamikaze planes/drones are about what they sound like. They bum rush you and they blow up, and they're very fast with a zigzag dodging maneuver, making them hard to avoid and hit, and I didn't survive all my encounters with them, although I'm definitely better at fighting them versus when I first started this game. To top off enemy variety, UFOs, or flying saucers if you prefer, are tossed into the mix, which give you extra points when shot, but they're harder to hit than you'd think, but at least they don't fire at you. A bit more about the arenas themselves. They're pretty large and open, but they have debris scattered around, which can be used for cover, but it can also hinder maneuverability. Now the controls are super simple. You use the left joystick to move, and to turn, and the triggers or A to fire. That's it really. Keep in mind, this is an old arcade game, which pretty much always had simple controls. Changing topics, I mentioned earlier that you can adjust the difficulty to your liking. Battlezone holds 3 default difficulties: easy, normal, and hard, followed by a custom mode where you can mix and match things, like being able to add extra lives or reducing the amount of points required to unlock a new life. But Battlezone on Xbox 360 also has something called Throttle Monkey, where the game runs on max speed and difficulty, greatly increasing the game's pace and giving you only 2 lives versus 3 on normal difficulty or 5 on easy. I was rather surprised by how much I enjoyed this game mode, as it was really fun zipping around and trying to quick scope enemy tanks while simultaneously trying to dodge returning shots. But I seldom lasted very long and generally did better on the normal mode, but even then I wasn't very good. I mean, you gotta remember that these old arcade games were designed to take as many quarters from you as possible, so of course they were designed to be challenging while also being simple. I don't know how many games of this I played, but I certainly put at least 3 or 4 hours into it, so one could say that I overall enjoyed this, and this title was either $2.99 or $3.99 before the 360 store closed, and I'm leaning more towards the $2.99 based off memory. The updated graphics look great, and the sound effects are pretty good, although there isn't a ton going on music-wise, but for a small budget title, the OST is good enough. Now there is online multiplayer, but the servers are empty to no one's surprise, which sucks because some achievements are locked behind MP, making it impossible to 100% this game on solo. And sadly, there's no local MP, so a big bummer there, but at least this title offers online leaderboards, so that's something. But anyways, I give Battlezone a 8.5 out of 10 by my grade scale, so a nice little arcade game indeed, especially when you look at this from the standpoint of you bought 2 games technically, the OG Battlezone and the remake. Now, I would like to quickly note that this was one of the roughly 50 games that became lost media when the 360 store closed in 2024, as this was a 360 exclusive, like I said earlier, but it was digital only and non-backwards compatible, meaning there's no longer any legitimate way to acquire this game. Anyways, as far as similar games I can recommend, I kinda come up with blanks here to be honest, as there aren't a lot of games like Battlezone out there. Maybe look up Is Defense on PC, calling that a similar game is the king of stretches, but you might like it if you enjoyed this title. And a little question, I'm just curious, did anybody who's watching this play the original game back in the early 80s when it was new? Tell me down below, I would love to know. Well, I reckon that wraps up my review itself for today. I really hope y'all enjoyed the first episode of this new mini-series of mine. I recently ran a poll asking if y'all were down for this idea, and pretty much everyone who voted said yes. So, here we are, and I might try to put out these videos on a weekly basis. We'll just have to see. I won't give away what the next episode will be, but there's a chance that it could be a Kinect game. Anyways, as far as our Bible verse of the day, I read Micah 1:3 NIV. Look, the Lord is coming down from his dwelling place. He comes down and treads on the heights of the earth. Alrighty, for anyone new here, I mostly review and discuss video games with a large focus on Xbox 360 titles, so feel free to check out some of my other vids if that sounds interesting. And a huge thanks to Camp Xbox for inspiring me to start this mini-series and for inspiring the intro lines. Like always, my content is never made by AI, and I don't consent to my voice and likeness being modified, altered, and copied by AI in any way. Jesus loves you all. Always remember that. Peace. Unlike pretty much any followed by a custom mode where you can